Hi, I'm Sung Ray.
I'm something else.
Here at Black Girl Soul, a podcast where we discuss the Asian dramas we love from a Black female perspective. We are looking to be entertained, to learn about other cultures, and share our passion for these shows. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. This is Black Girl Soul with something else and
Song Ray.
Today, we'd like to welcome the Blerd Explorer. We discovered him on Instagram and have been following him there. He's joining us to discuss his second book, The Black Traveler's Guide to Daegu, South Korea. If you haven't kept up with him or you're not in the know, he had a first book published in 2020 called The Black Traveler's Guide to, I'm going to say this wrong, so you have to correct me. Incheon, South Korea. Thank you very much. Yeah. Welcome, and thank you for reaching out to us. It's not a one-sided fandom, if you will. I saw an interview and you kind of did a media blitz. Is that how you found us?
Basically, yes.
Tell us more about yourself. What are the deets on you? What's your government name if you want to share it?
So I'm Phil. I'm from South Carolina. I graduated college in 2015, went to 2015. And my background story is I was in my last semester of college around, September, October, like all seniors do. You're trying to find a job, sending out resumes, cover letters, nothing sticking, can't find nothing, right? And then one day I saw this list on my university job board about teaching English in South Korea. And I said, all right, let's check it out. Let's do a little bit more research into this. And so I did my research. I thought, okay, this might be something I'd be interested in because I always wanted to travel as a kid, but I just didn't know how to do it. Mm. And growing up, I didn't know any other Black person who's traveled abroad. And the only time I ever heard about that is usually because people were in the military. And I didn't want to join the military just to travel overseas.
No, that's dangerous.
Yeah, so I came to South Korea back in May 2016. So it's now officially been 5 years since I've been in South Korea. And I've been here since.
All right, that's a long time. So tell us what made you choose to call yourself the Blerd Explorer?
Well, I actually was kind of rebranding. My first title was called The Minority Traveler. When I first started my own blog.
Okay.
But over the years, like if any business, sometimes you want to you change your name, you want to rebrand your image, right?
Right.
And so I really chose Blerd. It's short for Black Nerd. I thought, okay, what's something that I like? I like gaming, I like travel, I like food. Why not combine all those things together?
Well, I appreciate that you're out there because more and more Black people are traveling, and I'm trying to travel more. I traveled abroad as a child. And so It's like just a third eye that opens up as a Black person, especially when you see something other than like American everything or, everything through the lens of America. So having you out there doing this kind of work is just, I'm grateful for it because a lot of us need to see that we're traveling. So was that the catalyst for you to jump from tourist and expat to travel guide author? Because it's one thing to think it, but you took it the next level and actually did it.
Yeah, for one, I guess for me, when I was doing my research about traveling abroad, living overseas, this is in the late 2010s, of course. And I was concerned, worried because I'm pretty sure, like I said before, when you look at the travel and tourism, when it comes to YouTube, blogs, websites, most of them are used up from a white perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good content I love, and they have some great advice. Sometimes, a Black person's experience is going to be completely different than a white person's. Especially when you're traveling to Asia, for sure. And I guess my rebranding at home, the two books I wrote, these travel guides, is more of kind of are you put up or shut up, basically. Complaining about it, wishing that, why don't these big, Lonely Planet, Nat Geo make travel guides for Black people? I'm like, okay, you know what? That's it. I gotta put up or shut up, basically. So I said, okay, let me just take a leap of faith, let me make my first book in 2020, try it out, and see if there's a hit, if there's a demand for a type of product. Then okay, I figured, okay, why not? Let's go into this. Now, another reason I started to do this thing is I remember reading, I think about a year or two ago, I saw this study done. I think it was called the Mandela Institute, a market research group. and they said that the African American tourism industry is expected to be about $68 billion. This is a 2018 study.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine now. I'm pretty sure that's again, this, pre-COVID. So imagine post-COVID when everyone's starting back to travel again.
Right.
And I'm a business major, so I'm not really education. I'm a business major. So I see the potential of doing this market, like exclusively doing Black people, because again, it's an underserved market, underrepresented. There's a huge demand for this type of Black travel content and travel groups. So it's like, why not hop on that bandwagon?
So let me ask you this question: have you ever heard of the Green Book?
The Green Book, yes, I've heard of it. I heard its stances, but I probably got more into it when the movie came out. When I learned a little bit more about it.
What, Lovecraft Country?
Yes, I believe it's yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was the movie, The Green Book, or if it was Lovecraft Country, because a lot of people really took to like doing that kind of research when that show came out.
Right. Same.
And so I referenced it just to kind of wonder, like, it was at your mind frame when you decided to start writing these types of books, because these are very well written, they're interesting, they keep you involved. So was that your thought processing when you were starting?
It was, and I guess I wanted to do something a little bit different, because I know obviously YouTube being more popular, it's more easier to do. I could definitely blow up for sure, but for me, when I write these books, I have more control. I feel like I'm not under like pressure, like instead like other YouTubers, like you gotta put out videos like every day, every week. You know what I'm saying? And here, writing ebooks, like for me, it's like, okay, I can take my time. I know what I'm doing, and if I ever feel burnt out, I can always take a break and come back later, and nothing's gonna be, I'm not gonna be hurt by it.
Okay.
Right, because one of the things I appreciated was that your book was so accessible. And you're a really good writer, like you're very clear. So I mean, have you always been a good writer, or did you read travel books?
Yeah.
Because if someone said, hey, write a travel guide, I'd be like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. I guess so. Like, I mean, I did writing in college, mostly like video game reviews and stuff. But I guess honestly, I never would have anticipated that I would end up doing this side hustle type of thing. Like, in and writing travel books. Like right now, these two books, I realized, okay, this could be like something I could do like as a side gig, future side gig. So I was like, why not continue to do so? So now I plan to actually write a whole travel guide for all of South Korea.
Okay.
You answered one of our other questions, because I was like, you can't just stop with 2 books. Like, you're going to have to keep going.
No, I ain't going to stop.
And speaking of which, I mean, you kind of mentioned like, the difference between ebooks and like, say, a YouTube. Do you have like other outlets for this kind of information? Do you have a YouTube channel? Because I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, I know right now. And I mean, I just recently started TikTok. I upload like 3 videos after Blerd Explorer. So mostly my videos are like travel and food based.
Okay.
Well, since you're talking, what other places can people find your content besides Instagram?
Instagram, and also got my website called theblerdexplorer.com. Immediately at the time of recording, I haven't had a chance to really sit down and update it. So I need to work on that. Mostly because I've been just too busy with the new job and everything.
Well, that's not a bad thing when you're busy with work, when you're getting paid.
Exactly.
But yeah, because I've seen a lot more traffic on like YouTube sites, like with these, what they call digital nomads, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't know if you were going to like translate that into some kind of like show, or if you were going to even be a tour guide for people who come to Korea. I mean, I don't know if that's something you ever considered, but I was like, oh, the sky's the limit for the things that you could do based on what you already know and you're personable.
Yeah.
At one point in the second book, you talk about how like you have the do's and don'ts, if you will. Yeah. And you mentioned that you have to act right when you're overseas, because, which should be obvious, but don't act a fool overseas, because as Black people, fortunately and unfortunately, we are considered ambassadors. Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, if you could usher in others who want to travel through South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. So I have actually thought about while I was like starting a YouTube channel, but I guess I just never had the, motivation or drive to really push myself to do it. Especially since for a while, like especially last year, I got put on furlough. So I was more concerned about trying to find another job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm more, I guess now I found a new position, I got a new job at my elementary school, which I started back in March of 2021. I guess it's more like I want to make sure I'm in more financial, more comfortable position before I actually start more ventures.
No, that makes sense.
And so for me, I guess the one thing I wondered as we're having these conversations, I know that there are several people who have come, who are there, who have like YouTube groups and channels, and they do meetups and things like that. Do you participate with any other expats that are there that are from the US that are Black?
I mean, I do meet other expats. I have a friend of mine, Brandon. He actually did, you probably, if you looked at the book, he did the translation work in there for me.
Okay.
There's a picture of one other Black man in the group, and picked in the group, that was him. He actually did translation work for the menus. So shout out to him for that. Huge shout out. But for me, maybe, I mean, I'll meet other expats, meet other, groups, especially like, but of course, because of COVID, I just haven't really socialized as much.
Mm-hmm.
I did see that you had the section in the book where you asked other people questions, and that was very helpful because I liked your anecdotes, but you weren't as gossipy. You had stories here and there, but they really were honest up to a point. And so it was interesting to kind of get those differing perspectives.
Yeah.
Even though you're pretty well traveled in South Korea, how many cities have you been in over those 5 years?
I lived in Jeonju, Busan for like a month. Then Masan, Changwon, Daegu, Andong, and then I moved to Incheon back in early 2020 to start a new job at a public school, and that didn't work out. And now I'm in the new city of Ulsan, which is on the East Coast.
Okay.
So you were staying away from places like Seoul, because I think you said something in the book about that. Talk about the difference between the food in Daegu and Seoul.
Yeah. The reason, so once the people actually did ask me, one friend did ask me this, why don't cover Seoul and Busan? I told them, like, one, it's oversaturated. Like Seoul, first off, Seoul's boring, it's whack. No, I'm joking. But the reason, but joke aside, the reason I focused mostly on like Daegu and the other city, and the Incheon's one, because like I said, it's oversaturated. Like, you can find so much information on Seoul and Busan, like in an instance, really. And I felt like I wouldn't stand out if I did another travel guide for Seoul or Busan. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, since I can use them more test drives, like to test the market, I figured let me do these cities first, try to see if people like it before I actually try to go deep into, say, Seoul and Busan.
So why Daegu? I think you answered, but like as far as how much you enjoy it, why do you enjoy Daegu over the other cities that you've been in?
Well, I actually did live there for a time. I felt like it was the right size, medium-sized city. And if Daegu, like, show me some love, I want to show me some love back, right? And I feel as though Daegu, like, if you want to, I guess, more real Korean experience, because like if you go to Seoul, right, it's gonna be such a touristy trap, like Metro City. So I want to show people that, hey, if you want more, I guess, Korean experience, try to go outside the major cities, go somewhere else, and save a little bit more money too at the same time. And also, I guess because what happened in 2020, like Daegu was the epicenter of COVID at the time. When things, went crazy. And so I kind of wanted to like try to help out the way I could.
Bring some positive light to the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have a lot of food porn in your guide. Like, we get it. You're a foodie. Like, no one's gonna make that mistake. And and I appreciate that, because first you dropped some fighting words early in the guide when you said that the food in Daegu was more delicious than in Seoul, right?
Yeah.
Did you take to the food right away? I mean, one, why is it better in Daegu? And two, did you take to Korean cuisine like right away, or did you have to start off slowly?
Of course, like, man, it took us, like, when you first moved to another country, I took the time, like, to start off slow, kind of get used to the food and everything.
So was that a hard transition for you, getting used to their cooking compared to American?
For sure, especially when it comes to fried chicken, for sure.
Is that a joke or for real? Because I mean, I've seen them fried chicken, and it's slightly different.
Yeah, but no. How was it? Yeah, I guess for me, I guess I get used to the fact that how like in American food, like I have so many options, like diverse type of foods, whatnot. Admittedly, not the best healthy food, of course, but I mean, I'll admit it's nice to be able to or live in a country where they have a lot more, I guess, vegetables and such in their dishes and the side dishes and such. And I feel as though, from what I gathered other research, it seems like most people can agree that Daegu's food seems more, I guess, traditional, more, it's not, I guess it's like more slowed down in a way compared to Seoul, where it's like, you gotta eat quick and go.
That's interesting. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Is it just like because the city is so fast, like a kind of maybe a New York?
Yeah.
Is it like you have to go to a big restaurant to get more of the real experience in Seoul, but in Daegu you can kind of get that fuller meal or more complex setting or something?
I would say yes. Like you get to, well, because Daegu is a little more slowed down, people more relaxed. Even though Daegu is a little bit more conservative compared to Seoul and Busan, but you still get a chance to, like, I guess, kind of relax. And at the same time, if you want to, you can also join country vibes because when you go further out from the biggest downtown area, you get to more, I guess, rural-ish parts of Daegu.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is more like the change of pace, I would say.
And so I guess this is just leading into the next question is, wouldn't it be easier for an American, especially an African American, because I am aware that it's a country that is homogeneous. They are Asians and they have their people there. And so everyone else is an expat or a visitor. So wouldn't it be easier for someone like us to come in and go to a Seoul or Busan as opposed to a smaller city like Daegu? Why do you suggest a more traditional city and a more traditional Korean slower setting than where it's multicultural?
Well, for one, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If Seoul is on your list, then go for it. Let's make that clear. Reasons I kind of choose these other cities because I feel as though it's, to me, I guess maybe it's my type of travel. I guess it's like too easy. Like anybody can go to Seoul. Like you'll find a lot more, I guess, English menus, touristy trap restaurant. So I guess I want to show people, like, hey, if you're looking for non-touristy trap, kind of something to do, something different, try this city instead,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So this is out of the blue, but the nerd in me, the slight learner in me needed to understand this. What is PC bangs?
Oh, PC bongs? Yeah, they're basically like computer cafe. So you go to computer cafe, take a ticket, and put in like a X amount of money, and then you can play download and play whatever PC game you want. Just hang out all day for you can pay like $1 to just play for 1 hour. PC, whatever Steam game you have, or you play, or Origin games you play on PC at home.
So what culturally is, because we see them in the dramas all the time, and of course it's not a thing that really ever took off in America. So why is it? Because they don't want to spend the money on gamer computers, or like what is the draw other than why not at home? Or do they have them at home and they just go there to socialize?
Yeah, well, most socialize a little bit about that, but I think most Asian cultures, like particularly Korea, like they've never really been in console gamers. Like everybody's mostly PC based. So, and I think for a time, in South Korea particularly, consoles like Nintendo, PlayStation, they were kind of banned for a time, and then over the years, they kind of slowly, came to the market, and plus also it's a lot more expensive too.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. I've heard gaming is expensive there.
Yeah. So nowadays, obviously there are a lot more console games. Like PS4 is a lot popular, but especially Nintendo Switch. The Switch is incredibly popular over here. Especially because of the Switch. Now there's a massive Super Smash Bros. Scene here in Korea. It's massive. Like I saw it. I was there when it was on the Wii U. Like it was as popular, but when a Switch came out, and then it became popular, kept selling out over here in Korea. And then when Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, that was it. Like there were tournaments, so many events going on, especially in Seoul too. Like I actually started a Daegu Super Smash Bros. Tournament scene in Daegu to give people, Koreans and players and native and expats, an option to say, hey, you don't always have to go to Seoul to play in tournaments because it does get expensive to travel there on the weekends. But electronics here in Korea, unfortunately, they are very expensive. So like, if you think you're gonna go here try to buy a new latest Samsung, LG, or iPhone, you're gonna pay a lot more money here than you would back in the US. So I mean, if you want to, if you want to pay for it, go for it. But honestly, just wait and save your money to buy the electronics at home.
Okay.
This is a question that actually Song Ray should ask, but she doesn't completely claim it. Like every time I've traveled, I've known her for a long time. Every time we've traveled to a city, she has found the hood, and like if she's lived there, she gives a tour of the hood. So what are the hoods like in South Korea? Because when we watch these dramas, I mean, we fully understand that these are stylized, romantic, and very unrealistic versions of South Korea. But so we don't get to see like the true variations. Right. I mean, so I don't think, unless I've seen like a crime drama, I haven't seen anything that is hood-ish. So, I mean, what does that look like compared to American hood?
What hood? Like that's the question I would say is like, what hood? Like,
okay.
Yeah, like no, not trying to be like smart or anything, but like here in Korea, like housing wise, basically, here is more like there's pressure to like in America, like you gotta get the nice house, cars, kind of keep up with the Joneses, right? Type of thing mentality. So in terms of like Korea, you gotta have that nice big premium apartment. And of course, not everybody can afford it because like the deposits on here are ridiculous, like ridiculously expensive. Like you gotta get a loan to get those. So yeah, when you come to Korea, don't expect to have like some big, unless you got the money for it, of course. Don't expect to like I guess my house situation, like me, for example, like I mean it's a nice place, I got space, but at the same time, like on the outside, it's pretty old. Like I would say looks like it was built like in the 80s or 90s, something like that.
Okay.
But like usually the older apartments tend to be nicer on the inside because got a lot more room compared like the newer apartments that are being built.
Yeah, because I was just trying to get a feel for like, I don't know. Even my mom, when she first moved to my city, she was trying to she was trying to figure out, okay, where do the poor people look like? What do the middle class people look like? Okay, where are the wealthy people? Like, how is it? But we don't get to really get that view. So it's good to kind of get a feel for how, when you got there, what you had to pick from. And was it really a culture shock as far as your living situation?
Of course, I'm going from like living in a state where it's like mostly just black and white, going to be like the only few expat non-East Asian, again, like you said, homogenous, being nation, of course. So it definitely was that culture shock, being, oh my God, I'm actually standing out hard. Like I always stand out everywhere I go because I'm 6'7", 200 meters tall, so I stand out everywhere.
Yes.
But being a black man, a giant black man here in Korea, I stand out hard. Like I can't hide anywhere.
That must be funny. Like, did you meet your neighbors and they were like, what?
I mean, no one ever talks to me because but I'm not worried about that. But everywhere I've been, like, all the jobs I worked at, like for a lot of the students, like most of them was probably the first black person they seen up close in person, or I've been the first black teacher they ever had, or black male teacher.
Heck, we have problems like that in America, like having enough black male teachers. So hey,
that's true.
And so they always talk about the stereotype, at least, is that crime is less of an issue in Asian countries. Is that true of South Korea?
For sure. I mean, there's crime, of course, like anywhere, but I think the difference is like, if you commit a crime, you kind of like you put shame on the family because most Asian cultures, like it's all about the family, right? So if you do embarrass the family, you basically shame you brought great shame to everybody, and everybody thinks you're a failure or a family or father or mother because your child went to jail, committed this crime. And of course, you know, if you get caught with a crime, you got a rap sheet, then, you know, you probably won't be able to get a decent job anywhere. Where like in the US, it's like, unfortunately, there's kind of like there isn't that level of shame or like push not to do crime, I guess you could say.
All righty. So one of the questions, just coming back to the concept of culture and being different and standing out. So we know that you enjoy being there because, you know, you've been there for a while. You know, wrote books about it. So obviously it's something you're enjoying. But what are some of your pet peeves about being there? Like, what are some things that you kind of just, I really wish it wasn't this way?
For me, buying clothes.
Tell us about that. Now, we both read it, but we would surely love for you to share with our listeners. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I put this in the book that if you're big and tall, like just don't even bother shopping. Like if you got weight on you, like especially you're kind of a bit obese or very obese, got big chest. Like my height, I'm tall. Like just don't even bother trying to go clothes shopping. Like I mean, you might have some luck at H&M. Maybe in Seoul you might have a little bit more luck, but it's just, to me at least, like I don't see the point of trying to go clothes shopping when I got to ride the bus to go to Seoul on a weekend just to go clothes shopping for like 5 hours on the bus. Like that's just not worth it.
Wow.
It's just not worth the hassle. I'm not gonna do that.
Is this with all clothing that you're having an issue? Yeah. Shoes as well? Because I saw in the book you mentioned shoes too, because I thought that was interesting.
Shoes, I may have some luck, quote unquote. Just no promises. But yeah, but everything else, clothes, shirts, pants, like now Korean culture, like most Asian culture, it's all about looking slim and thin. So
okay,
that's how it is. That's how they advertise their products. That's how, like, you know, you see the advertisements, the models, stuff. Everybody's thin, right? Like there's no obesity, there's no big girls on there. Like, so that's just the culture. That's always has been. That's always going to be. It's not going to change. So if you're a big girl, don't think you're going to change anything because that's how it's going to look. And also keep note, in Korea, probably like other Asian cultures, like they're going to be blunt about things. Like they're going to ask. So don't be offended if somebody asks you how old you are, why you're so fat, if you're single, if you're married, et cetera, et cetera.
So also back to because with the clothing, I'm kind of wondering, what do you do then if you're not going there to shop? It's not where you're located. What do you do?
Oh, I just buy clothes from like Amazon, wherever I have it shipped there.
Okay, so you online shop?
Yeah, that's online shop. Like since it's clothes, I'm not in a huge rush to get them. I can take my time with that.
Yeah, I mean, you're a guy, so chances are it's like you know what you like, and if you get enough of that, you're good. Because we're thinking, oh my God, the seasons have changed. We need new clothes. Oh man.
So also along these same veins, because you mentioned, you know, you get asked these questions and they're very blunt. You said people might ask you about your dating status, like if you're married, single. So are you married over there? Or are you single?
No, yeah, I'm single right now.
So how does that work for you? Are you dating while you're there? Like what's the dating scene like in South Korea?
Whomever you're interested in, how do they respond to Black men?
From what I gather, it's more of a, how can I say, it's like more of a fetish, I guess you could say. Like there is that thing now. It's more common, like say to have how can I say this? For example, like if you want to, I guess it's like if you get a white guy, then you're good. Whereas like you bring home a Black guy, it's like there's kind of like that stigma of I guess because of stereotypes and whatnot. Like they're afraid that their grandchildren might have dark skin.
Which is interesting. I was watching a drama today, and it's here in America. Yeah. But the family, it was like a birthing center. So they have a house and they bring in women to have their kids on US soil. And then they send them back, you know, because I think they were Chinese. But in which case the mother was talking to her daughter in their native language, and the daughter had a Black husband. And she said, so you're sticking this out, you're just not gonna let this go? And the daughter was like, well, no, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna stay with him. And she said, now I asked you to let this go. So the mom was like, well, I have to try, I can't stop being your mother, I'm gonna keep trying as long as I can. But it made me go, wow, the woman has kids, she's married, like what the world? She was not letting that go.
Yeah.
So I wondered how realistic was that people just really, they're not we'll let it pass, but I'm not really feeling this.
Yeah. And apparently, like, it's more common, like, I guess, like, say for Black men and women on the straight and gay side, is more like, kind of like, it's a hookup, basically. Like, you gotta hook up with them, but you ain't gonna bring it home to mom and dad.
Ah, okay.
Which, that's like America.
Yeah, it's like the white girls. Like, they'll hook up with the Black man, but ain't gonna bring home to mommy and daddy.
Right. And just throwing a little bit of colorism. I mean, that's the world over. So
yeah, now you also gotta remember, like, so in Asia, historically, right? There's always been a preference for lighter skin.
Right.
Now, for those who don't know, like, historically in Asia, like especially East Asia, right? Those with lighter skin usually were part of the wealth nobility class, so they didn't go outside all the day. Whereas, those with more tan, darker skin in Asia, they're your poor rice farmers and stuff who are outside all day, every day, farming everything. So it's always been that way. Like, having lighter skin means you're wealthy. You got money. You have to be outside like those all poor peasants.
Yeah.
It's always been historically. So don't be surprised if, for those who are dark skinned listening, and people ask about your skin tone, why you're so dark and all that jazz. Like, again, it's just always been a culture. It's always been ingrained that way for centuries.
I'm trying to remember.
Wow.
Was it you or someone else who talked about their I think I saw some video maybe about some teacher, a dark-skinned teacher and Black male teacher, and his kids asked him if he was chocolate. Like, and it's just like, you can put, I think only so far can you put a spin on it, especially with children, to kind of like destigmatize and kind of, this isn't that bad. This isn't bad at all.
Oh, for sure. Again, like, especially for young children. So I mentioned the book, like, all foreigners get stared at, but as a Black person, you look at the most stares, like, out of anybody, of all demographics. So as a dark-skinned person myself, I had students, especially like very young children with the kindergarten and stuff, like, they don't know they're young, so they don't know any better. And then again, it's all out of curiosity, because again, there's not something that they see on the regular. So I had kids, asking me, can I touch my skin? I remember back in like 2017, I want to say, one of my kindergarten students, like, every time I were like put my Coca-Cola lotion on, the kids, some of the girls, would try to sniff my hand and say, "Teacher, chocolate smell." I'm like, stop sniffing my hand. This is creepy.
Wait, did you say cocoa butter?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And see, that's so quintessentially Black that it's like, hey, cocoa butter is Black.
That is funny. But again, like you said, one of the things I think a lot of people also need to keep in mind, because, we follow different blogs and different posts because of the content that we carry, which is, Korean, and not just Korean, but Asian dramas and television. And we, talk to people who are either could have gone there, been there, people who, are just interested like we are, but in which case that might say things or get offended by things. And you have to remember, we are dealing with a culture that is truly ignorant on who we are and how we function, because that's not something they've ever had to do.
Right, exactly. And I remember actually, last month for my fourth graders, we're talking about, family, right? And so I did a Zoom call with my sister and my cousin and a friend of mine who's like a brother to me. Is like, I want to show them, like, different groups, different, Black people, right?
Cool.
Different shades of skin tones. So which actually helped a lot too. Of course, they were curious, they asked questions and such. So let me put it this way. For me, Black people in Korea, me Black people got referred to as Oprah, Obama teacher, LeBron James, and probably other hip hop artists. Nowadays, because of the movie,
Black Panther?
Black Panther, yes.
I knew it.
Oh, wow. Hilarious.
Right. Wakanda forever,
like,
kids.
Teacher, Wakanda teacher, Black Panther teacher, you're from Wakanda?
Oh, wow.
It's like, yes, I am.
Yes, we'll take it.
That's hilarious. No, I mean, because we talk about the dissemination of entertainment. We've known for a long time that Black shows, Black culture travels, and only I'd say since in the last 15 years, a little bit after or a little bit before Songray and I started watching dramas, have we seen, like, especially South Korean, what did they call it, Hallyu or whatever, the Hallyu wave, when they really tried to push out their entertainment, because that really informs what people learn about other cultures. So, you're a little bit less afraid of the big black guy if you're like, oh, Wakanda.
Yes, exactly.
And it's the flip for us, because I think it was just purely that, in this case, South Korean dramas were just that good that we kind of got fixated, because otherwise maybe we wouldn't have taken to it so much. And of course, that's what our whole, podcast is about. But I mean, how about you? What kind of entertainment do you enjoy from South Korea? Are you a K-pop fan, or do you just enjoy sightseeing? Like, what are you into in South Korea?
Now, personally, I am. I never really. I mean, I watched a few, clips here and there on Netflix of K dramas and shows. I never had a chance to sit down and watch them. But so far, as like what I've seen, K-pop music wise, I don't really. Honestly, I just never got around to it. Like, I just never really sat down and really listen to the songs. Just never really. Not because I don't know Korean or anything. I just never sat down to listen to it. But like usually do it when I'm off duty, not teaching. Usually you can catch me playing games, going outside, taking pictures. Like yesterday, I went around my town, Uljin, like this coastal beach town, started doing some pictures and stuff. So I'm gonna go back out there later today to do some more shots.
Okay.
Also do some hiking, reading books too. I love reading. And yeah, I also recently got into cooking and baking too.
That makes sense as the foodie. I mean, I think you had either some pictures I saw somewhere, or maybe on Instagram somewhere, that you had talked about going to the beach and getting snacks when you go to the beach. And that sounded so relaxing. Like, you go get some fried food and then you sit on the beach.
Yeah, that's Hyundai Beach in Busan.
Okay.
In Busan, yeah.
I was just like, oh, I wish I was there. That looks so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
So to bring us back around, how do you think traveling abroad, and specifically living in South Korea, has changed you as a person, as a Black man?
It changed me a lot, more ways than I would have done, that I never would have reached if I stayed in the U.S. One, it's really showed me that, yes, as a Black man, as an African American, like, yes, we got the crappy end of the stick, but we still got it good compared to other folks around the world. Like, we still come from a first world nation. We have like one of the strongest passports in the world. Like, we can literally go almost anywhere compared to like our brothers and sisters in Africa. Like, they got to jump to all crazy hoops and bounds just to get travel visa. Whereas in America, as Americans, like, we got with our blue passport book, like, we just go in, get stamped in, and just go past the immigration gate, depending on the country, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And also, not to mention, it's like, it really showed me, because when we went to the Philippines, I've seen true poverty, like, that I never would have anticipated. So it's like, I mean, I get it, as Black people, yes, we live in the hood, we've had, redlining and such, but compared to what we dealt with in America, like, it's nothing compared to what I've seen in the Philippines and such. Like, we can't complain. We have no excuse to complain anymore. That's the way I've seen it. It's traveling abroad has educated me in ways that I probably would never learn. I learned a lot about myself. I learned new skills. Like, the biggest skill I learned to cut my own hair.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, I had to push myself, because I was living in an area where if I wanted to get my own haircut, like, I would have to travel to either Daegu or Busan or Seoul just to get a haircut. I'm like, I'm not traveling all these extra hours just to get a haircut on a Saturday. It's not worth it.
Okay.
So I pushed myself to do it.
Okay.
And usually I don't do anything fancy. I just do a simple buzz cut, go about my day. That's all I need. But honestly, and my real goal for my child books, my child platform, I want to encourage more Black people, especially Black men and young Black men, to travel. And I really want to encourage any young person listening to this podcast, like, when you finish high school or college, leave your hometown, like, go somewhere else. That's one of the other things I wanted to accomplish.
That's commendable, and that's a good idea, because I think so many times people have this myopic view of what their options are and what they can do. And so everything becomes, even that neighborhood. It's like, okay, can you leave your neighborhood? Okay, can you leave your town? You don't have, maybe you don't have to be gone forever, but at least go out and see how other people live and get some context for, I don't know, the Black experience or your experience as a human being. I mean, because how do you think you would have been different if you hadn't traveled?
Man, honestly, I'd probably be miserable, unhappy, like, like other Americans going to clock in, working two terrible jobs, being miserable, not living my life. And you're right about that. Like, honestly, and the scary part is, like, there's so many Americans who had never left a city or state, and they're proud of that fact too, which is crazy.
No, I hear you and I feel you, because I work in education as well, as you mentioned earlier. And one of the things is, whenever I get a chance to speak to young people within work environment or family, is to share. Please try to leave, go somewhere else, travel to a different city, live somewhere else, see what that's like, and travel abroad. You open your eyes when you start making moves outside of what you've been raised in.
Yes. I was trying to get my cousin to travel too, because she's also in education. She's a public school elementary school teacher. And before she bought her house, I think last year, I was trying to tell her, hey, listen, man, you got experience. You can go to international teaching, like work at international schools, but she didn't want to do that. She got scared. Like, she wanted to be close to her family. And I'm like, and I talked to my auntie, her mom, and we were both agreeing, like, she wished that she could let her go, like, tell her, like, go live abroad. She wished that my cousin would do the same thing, like, do something else, go leave South Carolina. And true story, back in 2016, when me and my friend Jamal, who's like a brother to me, I mentioned before, we just finished college. We're trying to figure out what we're trying to do with our lives, right? And he was telling me that one day his dad was telling him, like, when you get a chance, leave South Carolina, because they ain't nothing here. Like, go live somewhere else. Like, he's trying to push him to, like, go somewhere else, like, to leave, get out of the comfort zone. And so he went down to Florida to Full Sail University, and because he left, now he's working at Florida State, where he's a videographer. He's the camera guy behind the sports team at Florida State University. And it was my thing, what I'm doing with him, doing his things, like, we would never accomplish our goals if we stayed in our own city, in our own state for the rest of our lives. Like, we've never done this, ever.
So do you ever have plans of coming back to America, or you're just like, the world is your oyster? Even if it's not South Korea, it's going to be elsewhere.
Yeah. It's going to be elsewhere. I'll come back to visit, but to live in the U.S., I got no reason to move back. I can't think of a reason to move back.
I hear that.
It's like, I mean, as an African-American, like, coming from America, like, yes, there's going to be racism, xenophobia here and there. There's going to be pockets, but it's like, I think especially after COVID's really showing me, it's like, I can live my life. Like, I can go wherever I want to. Like, why should I have to stay in one spot for the rest of my life? You know what I'm saying? And so also, it's like, unless I have absolutely no choice, I don't have any plans to move back. Also, the reason I don't plan to move back to the U.S. is because of healthcare, for sure. Healthcare. At least here.
Can you expound on that?
Sure. True story. So while I was in Manila in 2019, September 2019, I went to, eye exam, went to the place to buy some glasses, right? I decided to pick some new shades up, and I figured, why not? I'm on vacation, sure. And so I paid about $30 for my frames, plus some other stuff too, like, eyeglass cleaner and stuff. And then my last day of Manila, when I was waiting to go to the airport, I was walking around the shopping mall and I saw they had a dentist office. I thought, okay, let me go see. I hadn't had my teeth cleaned in years, like 4 or 5 years at the time. So I walked in, and for a checkup and teeth cleaning, that all cost me about $40 USD.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to back you up, because I'm sorry, before we get to the teeth cleaning. Sure. For the frames, are you saying literally just the frames, no glass in there?
No, the frames and the glass.
$30? For $30?
About $30, and also about some other stuff too, like, some stuff to clean the glasses and everything in the case.
Wow. Glass. That's amazing. I'm a glass wearer, and yeah, that's like, whoa, no, that doesn't happen here in the US ever. Okay.
Exactly. It's like,
wow.
It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, every country has its pros and cons, but it's like, at least I know if I ever get sick, I can go to the hospital, get tested, get checked out, go home, get my prescription, go home, and not have to worry about paying some astronomical bill. Even if I have with or without insurance, I know that, oh, I'm sick, I can go to the doctor, walk out, and go about my day. No problems. I can't do that in the US.
You don't have a bill that's going to show up in like 2 weeks for like, thousands of dollars or whatever, or hundreds of dollars.
Exactly. Like, I think I read a story somewhere, like somebody told me how in South Korea, they had their baby here. A woman had a baby here, and it cost them about $2,000, I think. I think I gotta look at that.
And that's, I was about to say that's awesome, because
that's for everything, the delivery, the house pay and stuff like that. It's like, damn, it was like, it's funny to me.
Those are reasons right there to move.
Yeah. And it's funny to me in America, there's so many Americans, both Democrats and Republicans, who don't want America for all, but yet though glad to go to Canada or Mexico to get healthcare.
Right.
And it's like,
because it's cheaper.
Yeah, I'm like, do you not see the hypocrisy in this? Like,
right.
Because you don't want socialist medicine, but you're glad you go to a country that has socialist medicine.
Let's not even go into it, because that's going to make me mad. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's going to make me mad. But okay, so I have to ask this question. I hope I ask it well. What is it about you or your history that kind of turned that light bulb on and said, hey, I need to do something different, or I need to get out of here? Was it just like, your hometown was just like not it? Or was it that you were a reader and you were like, hey, there's something else out there? Or you're a gamer and it made you interested in like other places because you were playing games that were made by like Japanese or Korean, creators? Like what was the catalyst?
For me, I always wanted to travel as a kid. Now, I did travel to Germany to visit my dad when I was like 6 or 7 years old, so I don't remember anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't count. I usually don't count that as my first, trip abroad. Now, I always wanted to go to Japan as a kid because of anime on Toonami and Cartoon Network.
Okay.
But again, like I said, I didn't know how to do that. I know how to travel. How can somebody do something like that without joining the military? Because can I ask you guys something? Like, I want to ask all the interviewers out here. How many of you know? How many Black people that has traveled abroad that wasn't military growing up?
And I can only say 2.
See?
I can say less than 5, and I'm including myself.
Right. And again, that's what's kind of like made me want to start this platform too, because I mean, in the last 3-4 years, there's been more travel blogs, Instagram feeds, travel Facebook groups, which is great. But again, we're a small number, so I hope we get to grow more and more over the years. And I hope my stories can help somebody travel and see the world. And it somehow worked, because I got a friend of mine I went to college with. He actually came to South Korea and started doing ESL teaching.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. To be fair, he was originally trying to come to South Korea because he does he's an esports coach for a Korean team.
Okay.
He tried to get the visa for that. They tried to do it for him, but they just couldn't get it because it was a crazy process. So he just decided to try to come, do ESL teaching here as the main hustle while he does the coaching on the side.
That's cool.
Okay, that was smart too.
Which is smart. And he saw me as a huge resource, so he would ask me a lot of questions about coming to Korea, teaching Korea, and dealing with Hagwon and stuff. So I was his go-to guy, which I was glad to help, of course, because it helps to have somebody on the inside know something who give you like the ones. Who won't sugarcoat stuff. So he's been grateful for that, and he's still in South Korea now.
Well, see, that's the thing. You're proof that it's real.
Yeah.
I think lots of folks see it on television and it's like, oh, okay, a Black person has traveled, there's a place over there. But you're proof that that thing is real. Like when you talk to people, I mean, at first I was going to say you're kind of like low key, drug dealer, and your drug is like South Korea, hey, don't you want to try it out? Don't you want to try it? You save money if you come in as a teacher, but that kind of thing.
I'm terrible. I'm probably not the money part, because I am terrible. I've been terrible saving money.
Well, yeah, that's one of the stereotypes too. I mean, and you can speak to that, for those people who are interested in coming over as a teacher, that that it's everything is so much cheaper and or somehow it's cheaper and you end up saving lots of money, I guess, if you want to. Like, is that true, or is it just you just break even?
It's possible, like, unless, like, again, admittedly for me, my weakness is food, of course. So I spent pre-COVID, I spent way too much money on going out to eat, buying stuff on Amazon, have shipped stuff. So this was during my late 20s, so I was careless with my money. And unfortunately, I mean, I should have known this lesson already, but it took me to COVID to realize, okay, I got to start saving money and do better. And when I was furloughed, too, especially the lesson came hard when I was furloughed. Like, I was working for like almost 8 months on a reduced salary. I still got paid, but like on reduced salary. So, and I told myself, like, once I get a new job, I'm gonna start saving. Now, admittedly, I haven't done that bad, but mostly I've been paying back people who helped me out, who let me borrow money while I was during my lowest points. So now that I paid everything back, now I'm comfortable. Like, now I'm trying to do a lot better, trying to save money. Now, for those who have considered about trying to come to teach English in South Korea, personally, I don't recommend it right now. I really don't.
Is it because they're just coming back from COVID and everything else and trying to stand back up, and like teaching is not a luxury, but not exactly a necessity?
Well, that is mostly because, one, apparently there's been like a huge supply of ESL teachers, people trying to come to teach English in South Korea. And so it's like low demand. Not to mention, if you're looking to say working for Hagwons or private English academies, a lot of them have shut down because of COVID. So most of them, a lot of teachers have lost their jobs during 2020, and probably still now. So it's like the risk is like, it's not really worth it, I would say. Now, if you still want to come, I would say wait at least another year or two while things die down and it's safe to travel.
No, that's good advice, because I mean, and it's on the ground advice versus just kind of like, okay,
exactly,
like you're right there seeing it and you're like, okay, I have a feel for what's really going on. And it's like, because lots of people, I could easily see how someone would think, oh, okay, it looks like it's over, I'm ready to go, and they don't know the market, they don't know what's going on. So, and I just want to ask, I know you said that you're going to do future guides. Are you going to be knocking out those guides like once a year? Because you did the first one in 2020.
Yeah. So this book, debut book, I wanted to do more. There's so many locations and places I wanted to cover, but I had a limited budget, and unfortunately, during the times I had chances to go to Daegu and travel, it was right before cases started going up, so my time was limited, so I couldn't really go out and do stuff. So I had to be really careful. And I might do year by year. I don't know. Again, it's really because of COVID. So it's like I got to be careful with how I do things.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe you can have like a South Korean cuisine cooking show on YouTube. Like, because you can, do a little side hustle, get that AdSense money. But Songray, you have the next questions. I know I tend to talk a lot, so you go.
You're fine, because I think we've pretty much covered everything I wanted to just ask about, and we've kind of hit everything I wanted to talk about. But he's answered my questions about life there, aside from just the travel guide things. Basically, what your interests are while you're there, and then your future, because you explained that you do want to. Now that's what you didn't answer completely, and I did want to ask you that again. So you said you wanted to travel. It wouldn't be back to America, which is great. What other places are you looking to go to, like aside from South Korea?
Travel wise, either I might do a repeat of the countries I've been to, like Taiwan. I want to go back, but I did, because I only did originally went on a 3-day weekend, so I hope to spend more time there. Or I might go somewhere new like Thailand. Depending on where I go, I might make another guide for whatever country or city I end up going to.
Okay. And so all of your travel, you plan to stay in Asia?
For now, at least, I would say, because I mean, Asia's always been on my mind. I always wanted to travel around Asia.
Okay.
So me personally, I still want to travel around Europe, Africa, the Middle East, especially South America, especially the Africa for sure. But for me personally, my travel list, like I'm saving Africa for the best for last.
Mm.
Okay.
So just to round it off, is there anything that you want to say about the book, or anything to the listeners to kind of whet their appetites about this book?
Yeah, so if you're looking to travel, you just don't know where to start, or you just need something to read, then of course pick up these two copies: The Black Traveler's Guide to Incheon, Incheon, and The Black Traveler's Guide to Daegu, Daegu. If you're looking for something to read, or you know somebody who loves to travel, or just like South Korea, just go ahead and spread the word about this book. You can find both books. They're available in ebook format only on Amazon right now.
Mm.
And I believe you'll have a great time with this. And if you ever got any questions or concerns, you can always DM me on Instagram at the Blerd Explorer. And so you just follow me there. You can see my stories, my adventures.
Mm.
And I hope these stories help you feel more comfortable about traveling.
And I'm gonna say he shares some great posts on Instagram, because I enjoy looking at them, and he, tell you about going to visit certain places, different eating events. Oh, I knew that was one last thing I know I had. The Chicken and Beer Festival, because you've mentioned it a few times in there. The Chicken and Beer Festival. Please tell us a little bit more about that, because I see that is something that is super serious for them, because they talk about chicken and beer often in dramas that we watch, and we see the advertisements.
Right. So so South Korea has a massive obsession with fried chicken, like so much, like no matter where you go in Korea, like small country or metro, you will find a fried chicken restaurant almost anywhere. Would be a franchise or a mom and pop shop. So eventually, and I don't know who came up with the idea, but they're geniuses. Like, if we love fried chicken, like why not have a festival about it? So I think they had one to start this chicken and beer festival in Daegu since like 2013, 2014. And it's been very popular. I went in 2019, and I'm not gonna lie, I was mad when I found out there was this whole chicken and beer festival while I was living in Daegu. I'm like, wait, I've been living here all this time. I didn't know about this festival.
That's rude.
And so I went. It was a lot of fun too. Like I say, so you'll have a festival of beer, fried chicken, other Korean dishes and such. And I highly recommend it. I would say, now to be fair, I did say this in the book, like in general, like when it comes to food in South Korea, it has a lot of sodium. So you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Be careful about that. And also, if you have any food allergies, really take precautions if you have food allergies in South Korea, and if you want to come to South Korea, because food allergies over here is not taken as seriously as it is in America or in the Western countries. So if you have nuts, sesame allergies, fish, seafood allergies, you're gonna have a hard time here.
Okay.
No, that's good to know. I remember reading that in the book. So let me ask you, is the chicken, because I think you said it, but I didn't understand it completely. What's different about their chicken? I mean, is it that, are they just fried chicken? Like for example, if I opened like a black chicken restaurant in South Korea, would I blow up? I mean, like, I'm trying to understand.
No, like I think it's a sauce. Like they dip the chips up. They have different types of sauces. Like my favorite is like this sweet chili sauce they dip. It's called yum sauce. Oh. They dip the fried chicken and dip the red chili sauce. Is so good. It's very unhealthy, but it's so good.
Okay. And this is what's the sauce again?
It's called yum sauce.
Because I almost want to go to H Mart and get that sauce to see what I can do. Like, okay, what's that?
Yeah, like you can make the sauce at home. Like, try it yourself. Like, now that's a problem. Like, even if you wanted to make your own like chicken restaurant here in Korea, like the competition is like incredibly fierce. So it's like you got to figure out how you're gonna stand out compared to everybody else. Like, how you gonna make it?
I'm just joking. I mean, I don't even have the constitution for that kind of thing. I was just thinking to myself,
yeah, no.
Because when I'm seeing those videos, they don't like they don't, at least the ones I've seen, they have not overly seasoned their chicken. Like I'm looking at it going, okay, it's fried, but what do you all do? So I guess what they do is like coat them in sauces to like,
right.
Okay. But anyway, Sungray, do you have anything else to ask or?
No, that was it. You have covered it thoroughly. I am grateful for your reaching out to us to ask us about, doing this, because I think this was a great idea. This was interesting. And we've now found a new friend who's actually on the ground and we can ask questions. So, yes.
And let me just keep it 100. You may see Sungray one day in South Korea.
Yeah, sure.
She's similar to your family member. Like she has family obligations and things here, but South Koreans are her people. I think. One day you'll be like, have I met you before? And she'll be like, I decided to arrive. But thank you so much again for taking this time and all the information and all the stories and the good books, because they're well written and they're fun and there are lots of, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but there are lots of nice pictures. Yes. And you get an authentic view of things versus something that's like, turned out by some big company where they just give you like the regular thing. Like you're giving more of an inside track. So thank you and good for you. Congratulations on the good work.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, if you got any questions, do you want me to come back on, just feel free to ask. I'll try to do my best to help.
Right. And if you ever watch any of the Korean dramas and you tend to like it, I mean, I know that, guys tend to watch them slightly differently. My brother watches Asian dramas slightly differently. But if you watch one and you want to chat with anyone about it, please come on.
Please give us a shout out, because that's what we do.
You can join us on Zoom and talk about your show. So, okay, you guys, thanks to the listeners. Thanks to the Blerd Explorer. This is Something Else and
Sungray. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to Black Girl Soul. We enjoyed having you, and please subscribe, like, and follow our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter page, Instagram page, and join our Facebook group. You can also find us on Patreon. Please look below for links. See you guys next week.